take a moment. So this month has been the topic of transformation. Last month it was change, and this month it was transformation. And the fact is, you can have a lot of change and you choose not to have transformations, right? Or you can consciously choose transformation. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I'm going to use a very commonly used metaphor, but hopefully I'm going to bring you a little bit of a different spin on it. We're going to transform and transcend, rising to divine self. Because I think that's our biggest struggle as human beings, is accepting our divinity, really allowing ourselves to know and to understand that we are in fact divine beings. And yes, sometimes we might behave a lot less than divine in our thoughts and our words and our actions, yet we are still divine. So of course, the butterfly, right? I couldn't find, because I'm still unpacking, although I thought I saw it the other day. I have a beautiful book about a butterfly and how that leads to transformation. And probably somebody has mentioned the butterfly, but I'm going to take a little bit, I'll back up a little bit, because we usually use the image of the butterfly coming out of the chrysalis, but we're going to even back it up a little bit from that today. But this is our goal, right? This represents us as human beings fully in our divinity, fully understanding who we are in this world and expressing from that, which is, our fifth principle. So it doesn't even begin here, right? The butterfly lays an egg, and the egg becomes that. We call it a caterpillar, right? But it's a larva. It's actually a larva. So it's in progress, even though it looks like a fully formed being, just as we in this human suit look and appear to one another as fully formed beings. But this is just a process. It's just part of an ongoing process. This is not, even though we name it caterpillar and we name ourselves human beings, this is just part of the process. It's a stage as we are in this human form. This is just a stage in our eternal existence, because there's no beginning and no end to who we truly are. We're just in a phase, in a stage, in this caterpillar of a human experience. Does that connect? Following? Okay, so I'm going to do sort of I'm glad we have a young lady in the audience today, because we're going to really do picture book time today. So we're going to really talk about this caterpillar at length. So here are the phases, right? The caterpillar decides to hang upside down, and then he goes through these phases till he gets into a chrysalis. So we're going to talk about them one at a time and how this relates to us as human beings. Just like Eddie just said, listen to the silence. And if you're going to do that, you need to stop. And look, it's hanging upside down. It was crawling, consuming, and then it gets full or whatever phase. But see, the caterpillar doesn't have to go through all of the gyrations of being a caterpillar like we do of being a human being. It just does the next thing, right? So whenever it eats enough of whatever the milkweed, or what is it? Is that what it eats? This is a monarch milkweed. Then it decides to hang upside down and get a new perspective. But if you never stop and you never take a deep breath, how will you ever get a new perspective on anything? Go doesn't do it. You've got to be in this moment. So that's our first phase. Stop and get a new perspective. And then you got to notice when things start changing, because they are always changing. And see, there's just this little bit of physical transformation beginning to happen with this larva, this caterpillar. And you can just see, becoming aware of those changes. It's easy to look around and see changes that are in our physical world, in our political world, in our relationships, but those inner changes are very, very subtle. Sometimes they're big, Sometimes they're huge. Sometimes you go on a trip to India for half the year and big changes happen, I'm sure. But most of the time, they're just little adjustments in who you are as you unfold into the truth of your being. But you have to notice and become aware. And then a little bit more, once you get that little bit of awareness and your focus begins to be in, oh, wait, something's changing. I'm going to accept that change, or I'm just going to be present with it. You need to embrace the change. Who am I becoming? Who am I meant to be? How can I express my divinity more fully? These things we need to embrace the change. Then, as that change begins to become more fully who we are, we have to allow ourselves to show up differently and be curious about what that would look like. Does that mean I'm more kind? Does that mean I volunteer in some ways? Does that mean I help my neighbor? What does it mean when you start expressing more fully? I don't know. Those are not suggestions of how you would do it. You know for yourself. Maybe it's to mend a broken relationship. If you're estranged from someone, who knows what your soul needs will be spoken to you when you do slow down and when you ask for that new perspective. But look at this. Can you see how, look at the bottom of that. There's a little inkling of a warning. So there's a hint to what's to come. See, that happens for all of us as human beings. When we're on the path, there's a little hint to what's to come. And we need to be curious about that. And we need to allow ourselves. Sometimes we don't. We fight it. We do not want to be all that. And we fight it and we act out and we do all kinds of crazy things and then we judge ourselves for it. But we really need to be curious about what is becoming of us as we are unfolding. And then at some point, we just have to surrender. You just have to say, you know what? This is my path. This is who I am, not who I'm becoming. I'm becoming aware of who I always was to begin with. And we have to allow ourselves, we just let go of the holding on to the past, holding on to resentments, holding on to what we thought we were when we were 16 and all that and bag of potato chips. Whatever. I don't know what age it was for you that you felt your most magnificent. Maybe it's today, and I hope it is. But we've got to let go of whatever that is that we're attached to that's holding us back. But you see, there's still that little bit of that larva as the chrysalis is cutting. Oh, we hang on. But I'm this way. I'm the one who always, right? We have those identities that probably somebody gave us and we didn't necessarily even choose, right? It's something we have to become aware of. And when we allow ourselves, we do learn what that is. And then finally, we're in the goo. We're in the mess of it, right? We're really letting go of all that. And we're not yet. We don't know. We're just trusting. And this is where we have to exercise faith. And faith is one of those words it's been overused. And people associate it with certain things, but faith just means believe, right? Which is what are you going to hold on to and understand that's true for you? But then you get in the goo. I would call this, some of you have had dark night of the soul, right? It is hardened on you right now, and you are not getting out, and you're not going back, and there's no way to go except through it, through the goo, through the muck. You know, the lotus flower is one of those that grows out of the mud. It's beautiful, but it can't grow if it's not in the mud. It's got to be in the muck, just like the monarch butterfly or any butterfly. It's got to be in that in order to get this transformation happening. So, we're not what we used to be, and we're not yet what we're meant to do. That is a hard place to be. And it's not like you get in that place once in your lifetime, right? We are continuously going through this process, just like the butterfly and the caterpillar. So this is the part we usually talk about, right? We don't usually talk about that caterpillar part because it leads up to the goo. When we talk about this part, where the butterfly, so that you've got that dark, cloudy chrysalis, but then it starts to clear up. And there's a little bit of a vision here when you look at this. And this is when we start to go, wait, you know what? I am showing up differently. I am being more authentic. I'm feeling more who I am in the world. And I can have an intention. I can hold a vision for what it is I feel myself becoming from this process. And then with that intention, we hold our attention. We hold our attention on what it is that we desire. Are you all familiar with Greg Braden and his work on prayer? So he tells this one story about, he has a Native American or indigenous people's friend who they were out in the plains, and this guy, his community needed rain. And so he knew that Greg was studying prayer, and he called him up and he said, hey, I'm going to go out and pray for rain. Do you want to come? Yeah, of course. You know, he jumped up and they went out just as the sun was rising, I think it was. And he took him, they drove, and they got to a place that wasn't all that special from what he could see. And I'm kind of, telling my own version of the story. So if you go read the book, it's in the Isaiah effect, I think. But you won't read word for word this version, but this is my version. Anyway, so with the Native American friend saying we're going to go pray for rain, what do you think he was expecting? A rain dance, right? A ceremony, some kind of something he would visibly see. But his friend got out and he stood for a moment. He took him to where he said the veil was the thinnest between the world. And so he stood there. And then when he was done, he said, okay, I'm hungry. You want to go get some breakfast? And Greg was like, hey, wait, I thought you were going to pray for rain, because he was kind of expecting something more. And he said, I did. It's done. He said, well, tell me about that. And he said, what I did was I stood and I felt the rain coming down on my face. I smelled the earth opening up with the fresh rain. I felt my toes pressing into the softened soil, was becoming mud. He said, that was my friend. See, that's where we are when we give this attention and we feel into what we're creating. We're creating it from within. And we can do that because we are divine.
That's our vision. So
Mhm.
we attend to that.
Exactly. That's why we have mission and vision. It's not just some process, it's truly how it works. So then we get to the point where we're kind of coming a little bit away from that dark night. We're kind of leaving all that stuff in the past, but we're not fully formed yet. Our wings are not dry. We don't really understand fully what it is that we're going to do next, right? All ministers go through this. You're kind of like, well, I'm thinking that's what I was supposed to do, but I don't really know. But I don't know. Am I really going to do that? But you have to believe, and you use that spiritual power of our 12 powers. We have order up over there. You use your power of imagination to use that feeling nature and create this experience. But you have to trust. You have to know that it's coming, and you have to commit. This is the point where, just like going to India, fully commit, make a decision. Don't be in the middle about it. In the Bible, it says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Be clear. Jesus taught us to command, not demand, but command from that place of truth. Make a commitment about what you want. If you're always going, well, I'd really like to, but, you're just canceling out your prayer. You've got to hold on to that vision. You've got to really be able to see it and commit to whatever it is. And then, fifth principle, right? You live it. You've got to embody that divinity, embody that truth. Being a divine expression doesn't mean you have to be a minister. It doesn't mean you have to serve the world, although we're always in service to one another. It just means being who your expression of source and substance is in this world. Your unique way of showing up. It's not anybody else's way. So then you're fully in your divinity, right? Except then there's another aspect of yourself that you need to work with or have revealed. You might go through this process in your health and well-being and you feel really good. And then maybe your finances are not being taken care of. Or maybe your finances are fantastic and your relationships need some work. This is an ongoing process. It's called life. Remember the Unalome? Pam did a nice painting back there in the back of the room. You can see it if you want to look at it. But we're always getting this new idea. And then we work it into our life. And then we learn to express it. But then comes another new idea of who we are and how we can be in this world and express the divinity that we are. So I have an affirmation that I'd like for us to say together. Are you ready? I embrace my divinity. I transform and transcend. I embrace my divinity. I'm willing to transform. And through that transformation, I transcend the appearance of whatever it is, that which we name other than good. We transcend that just like Angela did in the prayer, right? We do that in our denials and affirmations. That's the way we pray in unity. We deny that the circumstances that appear to be other than anything that we would call divine have no power over us. And then we claim our good from that perspective. So I love this. Here's your affirmation on this one. I am butterfly. I am butterfly. So just own, I am butterfly. I'm constantly changing. I'm allowing myself to transform. I'm in transcendence of the appearance of things. But look at this. I love how colorful this is. I might just have to put this on a t-shirt. This is so pretty, and I couldn't figure out where I found it today. I was trying to put a credit at the bottom like I do on all the slides. But to me, this speaks, our colors show when we're in community, when we're in a group like this. We look, and just like the song earlier, you look, beloved, you see that beloved in another, but also you see it in yourself. When you see it in yourself, you can see it in others. If you're not willing to see it in yourself, it's going to be a tough stretch to truly and authentically see it in others. So this is the image. Let's say this together. I am butterfly. Say it, sassy. I am butterfly. Okay, so just a reminder of the 5 principles, because as I've explained to you in a talk in the past, the 5 principles of unity are actually a formula for transformation. I am, God is, I think, I pray, I do. Let's say it together. I am, God is, I think, I pray, I do. You can use your fingers. I am, God is, no, God is, I am, I think, I pray, I do. If you just get this and you take it in, God is everything, right? Everything is an expression of God. I am. I really truly am. As are all of you. Our thoughts, our creative energy, prayer and meditation help us to connect with that divinity. And then we take that into the world, one step at a time. As the Quakers say, pray and move your feet. It's truly a formula. So this week, I'm going to give you a little practice. Just stop, embrace your transformation. Just stop, be still, hang upside down like the caterpillar. Find a new perspective on things. It's my sister came to visit me, and I moved some stuff in my house, and I've got furniture, but there's still things that are not finished. A lot of things. And she was looking around and and I'm like, stop. I can't explain. I don't want to tell stories on the challenges of working with contractors. I just want to appreciate what is. And all those things, one by one, over time, will be taken care of. Will it be taken care of by Thanksgiving when everybody's coming over? Probably not. But most of it, many of it, whatever. But I'm accepting and I'm grateful. And she's like, but I'm like, no, just keep it in. Just keep it in. But just stop and then notice what comes up for you when you're still. Just notice it. You don't have to name it. You don't have to have a story for it. And then allow that movement of divine flow through you and just become. Just become whatever it is that you're meant to be in this world. Just allow yourself that grace. So thank you all for being here today. It's been fun, and I hope you enjoyed our picture book. This was, our picture story time, right? Okay, this is our opportunity to give. And for those of you online, we'll show the QR code in just a moment. You can go online and give at unitylr.org. You can mail something into our PO box, or you can use the QR code and you can snap that with your phone. I think there's some on the tables as well. But whatever that you have to give, we are so grateful for your generosity and your support. We're just a little bitty group of people here come together, holding light in this world. That is our purpose. That's why we show up. That's why Dave put these beautiful purple tablecloths out so we can know our divinity and we can see that reflected in one another. So we appreciate that. And so let's say whatever it is that you have to give today, and if you're not putting something tangible, just hold that energy of love and good thoughts in your hands. And let's say our offertory prayer.